It is Wednesday on rawmike.richards.com. Myself, Dave Bastel, and looking forward to Elias Tufexis. That could even be, that name could be a lot of different things. But in the world that he is, and he's kind of a superstar in his own right in certain genres, including the one that a lot of people would know is the gaming one. So we're talking about, Splinter Cell, the Tom Clancy games,
Yep.
which are just huge. Also Assassin's Creed. The game got so big they made it into a movie. So if you have a question today, if you're watching live on the Raw Mike Richards dedicated YouTube channel, or just join us here on the show, if you got a gaming question, send it into Elias at rawmike.richards.com. That, of course, on Twitter, or at David Bastel. Looking forward to a lot of the stuff that he has done. Cool guest here today. And some of the tweets coming in already. By the way, thanks to all the response yesterday to the show. Marty McSorley, I thought, was fantastic. Marty did a great job. And Jimmy the Bag might have had another tough day if it was about the Blue Jays, because the Blue Jays actually come away with the win, with the loss, as it was Jaime Garcia. Yeah, and we made fun of that name.
Sheesh.
And he looked like he might be tagged actually with probably a no decision, I think, is the way that would have worked, Dave. Relief came in, and I think it was Jose Ramirez.
It was Jose Ramirez. You're absolutely right.
That sounds like one of the names I make up. Jose Ramirez coming in, the young Dominican from Puerto Plata, Dave.
When you allow 19 runs in 2 games against the Atlanta Braves, you deserve to be swept in your own building, man. This is really disappointing considering what they've kind of built up to it. And I thought at the end of this week, maybe they're flirting with 500. Well, they've kind of dug themselves in another mini hole, which has been a pretty big hole this entire season.
It is strange looking at nightly. And we'll get to some of the game, and we'll get to some of Jimmy's picks. They almost came through, but I got greedy on one, and it burned me. I guess maybe the common thread, if we're talking about gaming, if we're looking at the NHL conference playoffs, are we just saying take the under? Because these things are awfully tight now.
Yeah, well, especially in that Pittsburgh series, I would say yes, which is kind of surprising considering the firepower the Penguins have. We saw an over the last game, Anaheim and Nashville yesterday, not even close to being the case. Nice home victory for the Nashville Predators, and John Gibson actually played well in the Ducks net, so you can't sit there and base this on his play because he has been the second best goalie in this series so far, but yesterday he was very good.
Well, the winning goal, and once again, we'd love to show it, but people are being pricks. Don't worry, we'll work it out. But a shot comes from the point from Nashville.
Yeah.
Did it hit Arvidsson? I'm trying to think of who it hit.
I think it did.
I think it was. And so John Gibson he didn't feel it.
Right.
He didn't see it. So as he looks behind his shoulder, of course, it kicks back to the other defenseman, and they hammer it in. Like, honestly, I couldn't figure out the first time I saw it. It looked like he was so delayed in getting over. It literally was an empty net. It's because he couldn't feel or see the puck, because for Nashville, it hit their own guy. It kicked out the other way. He looks over his right shoulder, and it goes to the left. You're dead.
Bingo. Because Roman Josi, the defenseman, did get credit for the goal. So, he did get credit for that goal, 5th of the postseason, and that was the game winner. And you know what? Just on a side note of that series, I think the funniest part of the series so far has been the regular anthem singer, the guy that does it the 41 games during the regular season, has been bitching that he hasn't been singing it during the playoffs because Nashville's been plucking out superstars like.
Well, it's Nashville.
I think the other day was.
You could get Kenny Chesney or Vince Gill if you want to go a little old school.
Well, and they're bringing people like that. Carrie Underwood sung it one time as well. So he's being a little snotty about him not being asked to sing it and being replaced by other people.
You have the management and what's his name? Ted Nobody.
Yeah.
He goes, because I'm not singing. Go, let me see here. You bigger than Carrie Underwood? No. You're shit compared to her. What about Brett Kissel? Are you Brett Kissel? I'm looking across the room now. I'm looking through my glasses. You don't look like fucking Brett Kissel. You look like someone who nobody cares about.
Because if he keeps on complaining about it, he's not going to have a job next year either.
You're going to end up like Skolar, the shitty Minnesota Viking, or what, Gunthar, or whatever I called that guy. Just shut your mouth. Take your job, sit in the crowd.
Bingo.
I mean, it is Nashville. If you've ever been to Nashville, oh my God, that's a fun town.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's a fun town.
It's having a good time there, too. It's nice to see. I'm not saying hockey was never good there because the fans seem to really love it.
And it's a good point, Dave. It's a misconception. A lot of times that we've talked to the legendary Terry Crisp, to Crispy, he said, Mike, it's a shame if you've ever been down to see a game, you realize it's not like they're not supported. It's just that in terms of the corporate, and they do have good corporate sponsors. It's just trying to create, that hockey environment in a non-hockey cultural center.
Because if you go down there and they're not going to kid you about it, it's music and it's football and it's college sports.
And it's Jack Daniels, man. Don't kid yourself, y'all.
It's not that far away from Nashville.
Lynchburg, trust me, I've been there. Everything smells like Jack. Everything tastes like Jack, and I'm not making this up.
They put it in everything. They do, like the ribs, anything, the pulled pork.
But it's just like going back to like the Civil War times, and it's a true story. Went to what they used to call a rooming house. Still exists in Tennessee because it is Tennessee. You don't know what century it is. We go to Mrs. Bobo's rooming house. Look it up. It's still there, and it's the old, in the middle of the day, the big lunch with the mashed potatoes the size of your head and great big cuts of meat, and there's this guy telling us all about the history of the area, and he says, and I started asking questions about football, so I was asking questions because we were in Nashville area, so I was talking about Vanderbilt, and he goes, oh yeah, that happened back in 1971. I said, what? And so I get this thing in the people and the guide that was with us. There's a guide and a couple of people from Jack Daniels representing, and they're like, no, don't get it going. Hey, what year was?
No.
Oh yeah, just because I wanted to hear it.
Yeah.
When do you hear someone say, oh, that was 1994? 1994. The ding 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 ding. Like I'm telling you, but it was fun. You great brisket. Can you two-step? If you can, I can. I have plundered a lot of girls in my time trying to learn that thing. You don't two-step because I don't think you don't do that.
No.
And you definitely don't line dance.
No.
I got to be honest. I wish I could two-step because the really attractive, the Daisy Duke girls with the cowboy boots and all that look.
Yep.
That we love at Stampede in Calgary. That look.
Good luck.
Where they say the T-shirts say it ain't cheating, it's just Stampede. That look. Two-stepping is huge for that one. But it's hard because it's not the rhythm that we're used to. And let's face it, for most guys, that's the slow dance, that's Stairway to Heaven, and there's no rhythm. It's just a lot of grabbing. Right, Russell? Is that what's your big slow song? Where do you make your move?
Yeah, what's your go-to?
Now, I'm saying as a kid, it was Stairway to Heaven. But is it for you? What is it like? I swear. That's probably that's probably not even your song. What's a slow song where you could really get in there? Think of high school. Think of your prom. Did you go to the prom?
I did.
It wasn't a cousin though, was it?
No.
Okay.
Good.
Actually, by the time we left my prom, there were no slow songs.
No slow songs.
Oh,
Yeah.
please. What time did you leave the prom at? 9?
About 11:30.
If Jess was in here, I'd ask her to come in here, and then you would have to slow dance with her, and I just want to see what kind of moves. And I would probably sing something like, I swear, like the moon in the sky.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I wonder. Maybe, that's why Jess isn't coming in. Oh, my God, she's going for the tequila early. She's going for the tequila early. She does not want this to happen. But Nashville is a great place. If they move on, am I going to be pleased with a Nashville-Pittsburgh final? Pittsburgh, I still want to see in it. I don't necessarily. I know people go, well, what about Ottawa? Like the Senators? No, I want to see Pittsburgh. I think it's a cool story. I think they could do this, Dave. Nashville can do this.
Nashville could win the whole thing.
Yeah, they can do this.
Which is kind of weird. I never thought
in one of the smaller markets too. I don't know if the
in
NHL's
a million years did I ever think that the Nashville Predators would be Stanley Cup champions. There's still a long way to go, but
it is a long way to go.
They have the defense, they have the goaltending. The offense has been good enough. I know they wish they could probably add a little bit more to it, but
Dave, think about it historically. How many goals do you need to win a Stanley Cup final sometimes in a given game. I'm saying if you've got a great goaltender, which you might need 3. If you can get 3
I was gonna say 3. 2 is
Yeah.
kind of pushing it because you're always that 1 goal away
you can win a Stanley Cup scoring 3 goals every game.
every single game.
If you've got the goalie, you get the wins. You're watching rawmikeRichards.com or perhaps downloaded us on iTunes. And, of course, you're watching on YouTube, the dedicated
Where'd you come up with that I Swear song?
I don't know.
Because I know you weren't listening to it on the way here, so it's not
But
like
I think-
you remember it or something.
But I think, it was maybe some of my dirty times when I worked at Ontario Place.
Okay, that's fair.
Where I probably shouldn't be having dirty times. I was maybe a little too old to be doing that kind of stuff. But when are you too old? What, I'm stopping doing stuff?
All for One. I looked it up. All
All
for
for
One is the
One.
name of the group.
Oh, here's another one. You want a little flashback?
Oh,
you
here
know
we
what
go.
this is? I think this is this might be like a 90210 stuff. No, not the second one, the original one. I adore me. Remember that thing?
Yes, I do. Mia Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those guys probably work at gas stations now.
I'm guessing.
The I Swear one that became a country song, a big hit. Because it might have been written by a country guy. We get back to Nashville again. Let's get back to Boston because, look, of all the cities we talk about, and we got to start getting guys from Boston on because they're always hilarious. They are in seemingly, if not all of their teams at once. They get into postseason. If we're talking about the Bruins, the Celtics, remember the Patriots?
Yep.
Pretty good.
Not bad.
The Bo Sox. Maybe that lacrosse team. Maybe if they still maybe the lacrosse team gets in there.
I'm jealous of the city.
It just you've got something to cheer about every postseason.
Yes.
Somebody's in, somebody's playing. Sometimes they're all in.
And now the Celtics are getting better again because the Celtics did win it about 10 years ago, so a little bit more. And now they're getting better again. And don't be surprised if when
Wow.
LeBron gets a little old and there's a handing of the guard. Celtics win the lottery yesterday. They're in the conference finals that start tonight.
You don't think that jacks them up either? You don't think that
Exactly.
if you're playing on that team, you're not playing a little harder?
And they got lottery considerations next year.
Okay. Well, courtesy of ESPN and obviously property of the National Basketball Association, if you didn't want the Celtics to get the number 1 pick, I repeat, you may not want to see this, although you probably have. I know Russell, for some reason, Russell Graham's all mad. Have you seen Russell mad before? Oh, it's like
I'm staying away, man.
it's-
I don't want
it's-
anything to do with this.
yeah, okay, well, it's a little Bates Motel-ish, to be honest.
A little bit.
Mommy. So here's how it played out. And once again, by the way, to the Brooklyn Nets, thank you.
Thanks again, Mark. The 3rd pick in this year's draft goes to
Listen to this reaction.
the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh,
The 2nd pick will be made by
this is even worse.
the Los Angeles Lakers.
Oh.
And that means that the number 1 pick in the 2000 NBA draft goes to
Who?
the Boston Celtics.
No way.
Listen to that. Listen to that smattering of disgust and people pissed off. Look, this is where it's different. If there was someone, the equivalent of the New York Jets fans or someone else, I mean, this would be really bad.
That would be really bad. Courtesy of NBA TV as well.
And NBA TV as well. So there was some news that really anyone in the East, you didn't want to hear that. You did not want to hear. And even if you're the Raptors and people are talking about what they're going to do, and we mentioned beforehand, if you don't do something, you could slide down out of the top 5. Guess what? That might seal it. Depending on what the Raps do, this could seal maybe what's going to happen in the next couple of years, who stays, who goes, because they just probably got a hell of a lot better. They'll take that kid out of probably Washington.
Yep.
That beast.
So you're not going to take that kid that's managed by his dad, Captain Big Mouth?
Lonzo Ball, who out of UCLA. Fantastic. Just a huge skill. But I think when you get a freak athlete, I think probably the best player in the draft, you're going to take the kid out of Washington. It's so strange, though. You see a couple of Pac-12 guys. It's nice to see for a change.
Very much so.
We're going to try to get a hold of Dylan Brooks in probably the next week or so. Dylan, of course, had a standout career at the University of Oregon from here, and we know his aunt. He's been on the show a couple times. Dylan's very forthcoming when he comes on the show. Right now projected in the top 50, but we'll see how that plays out. So we'll try to get a hold of Dylan Brooks. Now, Danny Ainge, who I believe Will Strickland called the traitor, as in making trades.
He's very good, too. Very good. Very smart basketball guy.
Here's his reaction, and of course, for me, I'll give you a little background story on how I might have this connection a little bit going back to Eugene, Oregon, back in 1977. But here's Danny Ainge and his reaction, courtesy of ESPN.
The number 1 overall pick. What was the reaction like in that room?
Well, I was very excited, but not as excited as my staff was. They were jumping all over each other, and there was a lot of noise being made, and it was deafening silent there. It was unbelievable, and the celebration was. Matter of fact, I got to go clean my office as soon as we're done here. All the things they were throwing around, but no, there's great excitement for us, and we're grateful for the good fortune.
What?
Okay. Yeah, we get it. Yeah, what's the last 24 hours been now like? Good. It's going to be champagne and prostitutes. Actually, it's Danny Ainge who went to Brigham Young, so I think there's probably none of that going on. And that brings me to the point where you see Danny Ainge now. Is that how most people, I'm sure of a certain age group, that's how you see him? Silver hair. All right. It's just so weird when I saw that last night, knowing that when I was in 8th grade and I went to school in Eugene, Oregon, James Monroe Junior High, and I got a chance to see Danny Ainge play a couple of sports, including football. Had no idea about the baseball at the time. But how do I remember Danny Ainge? Well, I go back to probably, this is March 19th, 1981, Dave. This is March Madness. This is the tournament. This is 8 seconds left, because this is what Danny Ainge was known for when he played for the North Eugene Highlanders. Unbelievable. This is against Notre Dame. This is how I remember Danny Ainge.
Of his head, Tracy Jackson can knock him back in the ball game. Notre Dame's defense slides down to the opposite end of the floor, and there are 8 seconds to go. Ainge against Paxson. 5 seconds. Inside. Ainge scores with 2 seconds.
Now look at the clock run.
1 second on the clock. It is all over.
Look at the clock run.
It is all over.
But isn't that interesting? Now, Russell, being your age, like you're looking that clock run down. Now, when a bucket goes in, there's 2 seconds left. Whistle blows. You got 2-point-something seconds. All of a sudden, you think you got to play. That is back in the day where, well, for instance, Notre Dame takes a shot. There's 9 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah. Lots of time.
You would never see that now.
No.
The game's just not played that way.
Exactly.
And on that Notre Dame team, you had Kelly Tripucka.
Okay.
You had Paxson. I mean, that was that team. But Danny Ainge was the wonder kid back in the day, and I got to tell you that's kind of how I remember him. Also, a couple of pictures. If you're watching here on YouTube, and if you're watching us later on rawmike.richards.com, if you go to the site, look at the BYU picture, because that's how I still remember Danny Ainge. And when he chose BYU over the University of Oregon, I was the whole state was devastated.
I was going to say
devastated.
That's front page news.
That was front page. And speaking of other pictures, get a load of this one. This is when he chooses, because he doesn't like where he ends up in basketball. He chooses there's the Toronto Blue Jays. There's the picture.
I have a Danny Ainge Toronto Blue Jay baseball card. It's weird.
It is very. Look at that pic, and he looks like he's Russell's age.
No, he totally is.
I mean,
Russell, you got to second guess some of the decisions you've been making, because you're sitting here working with us when clearly you should be playing at least Class A baseball for Dunedin.
Clearly. Or hanging out the malt shop with Susie, trying to look up her dress with mirrored shoes. It's one or the other. This is where I'm going.
Going back to Dylan Brooks for a second, draft projections have him at 46.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Brooks, 46 is the Philadelphia 76ers, but you know what? That also can mean playing time. Because if you can't play for the 76ers, I'm just saying.
When we get Dylan going, but just think about all the playing time you get with the shitty 76ers. I mean, you could start at guard, you could move to center. You could be the only fucking guy on the floor, and just think about it. It's like a fantasy, except your team will lose like every game.
And just to let you know, at 45, the Houston Rockets, maybe there's a possibility there. At 47 is the Indiana Pacers. There's another opportunity too.
Also talking about Oregon, and here's another excellent story. Just after Mother's Day, you got to show this picture too. This is outstanding stuff. On Mother's Day, this guy here. And Kind of looks like a Sutter a little bit when you look at it.
Yes.
Don't tell Daryl that.
No.
No, Daryl.
No.
He'll rip my head.
We mean it in a good way.
Yeah, he kind of does a little bit. For Mother's Day, guess what he did? Well, he chopped off his mother's head and took it to a supermarket.
Oh, good God, really?
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me about that before I agreed with you
Yeah.
on Daryl Sutter?
I know. And typical,
I totally didn't know I was walking into that.
and typical of the family. He goes, the family. Oh, we didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, of
Really?
Course, of course you didn't. Because when you interview the family's going to say, yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Head chopping.
Oh, good God.
Look, if someone asked my parents when I was younger, was Mike a little bit of a handful? Yeah, he was a little bit of a handful, but I don't think he's probably sawing my wife's head off.
No.
But then go to the supermarket. What were you trading? Is there a barter system in Oregon? I'm unaware of it. Here's your roast, Mr. Webb. Well, all I've got is my mother's head. We even? I don't understand that at all. I totally don't get it. Now, I see that Elias is just made his way into the Pacific Junction.
And he's wearing a
Hotel.
Montreal Canadiens hat.
I told you that was going to happen. It has to happen. I knew that was going to happen. And we'll try to get to some of your questions for him when it comes to his world, which actually is pretty fantastic. If you want to play baseball in Toronto, don't play on the Toronto Island. This is so weird. What you're about to see, and this is why you've got to see this on the dedicated YouTube channel. This is why you got to watch this. Why you have to see the show. This actually is a baseball diamond, but it's been taken over by, you got it, carp. That's water you're hearing. Oh yeah, and fish.
You ever seen anything like this before?
We are looking at the carp that are swimming on our baseball diamond. We're standing on a Parks Road in close to a foot of water. We're out on the road out to Hamlin's Point. We obviously have duck and carp population out here. They're coming swimming towards us right now. You can see them out in the water.
So that's right. So therefore, last night's game, it was the ducks and the carp.
Yes, it was. Go Carp, go.
You know, it sounds like the Japanese league.
Yeah,
I swear to God.
Actually, there's probably a team called the Carp
I think
in
there
the
is the
Japanese
Carp.
league or the Korean league or one of the. Yes.
Yeah. Come on, Asian people.
I'll
tweet in. Tell
Yeah.
us your
Yeah.
favorite weird name.
There you go. Breaking news from the NFL, Mike, quickly. LeGarrette Blount has signed a 1-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. He leaves New England after the Super Bowl championship last year. A lot of people thought, you know what, it's maybe a surefire thing that he's going to be back there and play for, the dream team, another repeat performance. No, he heads to Philadelphia on a 1-year deal.
Interesting move. And yet there's another Oregon Duck. Well, it's all tying in today. Interesting career he's had. Bounced around a little bit.
And even had some substance abuse problems. Cleaned himself up,
Yep.
and now he's left the team that kind of gave him that opportunity.
Okay, just before we get to Elias, to Fexus, he's going to join us in studio. By the way, last night, if you caught it, was all Golden State all the time, maybe not surprisingly. A shorthanded San Antonio Spurs, and I'm going to show you, some of the highlights. We'll cut it off at some point because I just can't watch all the scoring.
It goes down.
This was so
He's on Curry.
lopsided.
Curry out to Draymond Green. Tries another three and nails it. Thompson's jumper won't go. JaVale McGee nearly keeps it alive. He does as McCaw chips it out.
Every rebound.
Curry, great look for three.
Wing. And boom goes the dynamite.
Thompson. Simmons tried to deflect it, but it got its way to JaVale McGee.
I'll never get sick of that, by the way.
He's chasing
Never.
Curry there.
I think the
Back
guy's
out
awesome.
To Durant.
Durant.
Durant
That's
finds
nice.
Curry.
Curry
turns,
and
fires and hits.
And boom goes the
Steph
dynamite.
Curry.
Okay, I'll stop
DeJounte
it.
Murray, the
Okay,
impressive rookie.
we don't need to see that particular, but just before we leave you here.
Courtesy of NBA TV and National Basketball Association, TNT.
So is this clip. Now here's Pop, and look, Pop sometimes plays games with the media and the post game press conferences. Sometimes it can be funny or it can be crusty. Actually, I think at this point, Coach Pop just really says, and then we're going to start right at the beginning of this, right? This is how he wraps up really what happened last night. Right at the very beginning.
It's not about O's and X's or rebounds or turnovers or anything like that. I think we've maybe felt it too much, Kawhi being gone, in the sense that I don't think, as I watched, I don't think they believed. And you have to believe. And I don't think, as a group, they really did. which means probably a little bit feeling sorry for themselves, psychologically, subconsciously, whatever psychobabble word you want to use. But that's the way I process it. I don't think they started the game with the belief. And it showed in the lack of edge, intensity, grunt, all that sort of thing. And that was disappointing, but when you're playing a team that's as good as Golden State, you're going to get embarrassed if that's the way you come out. And we did. So I think that's the deal.
Yeah, there's Coach Pop. That was from last night. And if they're not full strength, good luck with that. I mean, it is Golden State. Okay, so we've got a bunch of questions for Elias. He's going to come in here, just so you know. People are thinking he's wearing a Canadiens jersey.
No, it's just a hat.
No, it's not a jersey. He's not wearing a jersey.
I said it's a hat, right?
Yeah.
Didn't I?
No, we said hat.
Yeah.
He's not painting his face.
Yeah,
He's a professional.
Pay attention.
What's the matter with you people? I know it's only Wednesday, but for Christ's sakes. Some of the, and again, guys like me who shouldn't ever play any video games where it's first-person shooter. Like, why having me behind something where I believe I'm actually taking people out? With silencers, or you hit the certain button and you're strangling the guy, where you see the arm come up and you hear, because all my family can hear, you take the spitting on imaginary dead people that I've killed. Like, I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, but we still like Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, and the guy hasn't made anything in 20 years.
That's right.
I'll still watch it.
And Steven Seagal movies, even though. As long as you can run away from him at a jogging pace.
Oh, absolutely.
Steven Seagal's going, hey, you come back here. Okay, boy.
I'm still watching it, though.
I'm going to get you. There's a cab coming, and you're dead. I'm going to break your arms. So
I'll never forget, and I have watched all his movies, and I continue to this day.
He makes one every week.
Yeah, exactly.
Over in, like, the Czech Republic.
I'll never forget him coming into the ring with Anderson Silva, I believe,
that was
at
real.
the Dome.
That was real.
And it was real, and
Yeah.
he was wearing a full 3/4 length leather trench coat, and it was leather.
Oh, yeah.
And he was wearing the sunglasses, and he had the pony. Oh, he looked great.
And that black dye would be,
yeah.
That would
Like
be-
it was blacker than midnight black. It was phenomenal. That's
Even
what it
Gene
was.
Simmons would be going, what's that look all about? That's weird. Okay, so we're going to have Elias in studio, and this, I believe, is it's Coben's best moment. So this is from Splinter Cell. So when we come back in studio, Elias, to Fexus.
Talk.
All right. 6 weeks ago, a client contacted me. He wanted small arms, Katyushas, a fucking missile launcher, you name it. He was willing to pay top dollar, too. It was a good deal. It was too good.
You supplied weapons for Blacklist Zero?
Hey, I supply a lot of people, okay? They don't usually go around targeting U.S. bases.
Who was it?
All I know is that they were talking about the attack on the embassy in Vienna, like they were fucking proud of it.
Hundreds of innocent people died in that attack.
Yeah, no shit, that's what I'm saying. This guy is a monster. He's a fucking ghoul, okay? And he doesn't leave loose ends.
Yikes. Shitty week. Am I right? This guy. Ugh. What?
Who the fuck is this guy?
So you turned yourself in for protection.
To keep you idiots from killing me over Guam, yeah. Not that anyone asked me, but these guys are scary motherfuckers, right? If you want them dead so bad, why don't you just nuke the place from orbit?
That's right. Nobody asked you. We need information, not a body count.
Get him out of here. Let's move.
I'm just trying to... Okay.
Coben.
You know, I'm surprised you haven't thrown me through any plate glass windows yet.
Me too.
Yeah, it's almost like I'm part of the team now, huh?
Don't get ahead of yourself. You haven't been that helpful.
Hey, let me guess. We're totally fucked and I'm the only one who can unfuck us, right? Huh?
Pilot's unconscious.
Shit! What happened to the co-pilot?
He's flying it manually.
I get it, it's a two-man job. Dump the power, kill the backup generator, reboot the system. Okay, I gotta get to the flight deck. Let me out of here, Fisher. Fisher, let me out of here.
Take care of the power.
Hey, dump some cargo while you're down there. It'll buy us some time.
To think at one point video games meant you had a straight stick that was lit up and and you're playing ping pong and the thing's going geep gloop gloop gleep. I mean, did we have?
It got intense though.
Did we have head injuries when we were small? That's the same generation that had the slinky, a metal coil that you pushed downstairs, and parents were very proud that you got that. Elias Tufex is in studio with us. Just come right up to the microphone here, buddy. And I see that we got to get out of the way. You got a Montreal, you got a Habs thing on. You're very proud of that.
I kind of. It's funny though, because I normally, after the Habs get eliminated, I normally pack my shit away. And try not to think about it. I actually had a sticker on my car that said "Habs fan on board." I tore it off. So angry, and I packed it all away. But when I knew I was coming here, I dug out a hat for you.
Well, Paul Smith, as he calls himself, agent to the stars at ETM. I don't think he's any of that. But he is a Hab fan, and he does the most annoying thing. Like when you start talking about current problems with the Montreal Canadiens, he just does this. 23. Fuck, is that annoying? That is so fucking annoying.
24.
24. Okay, 24 then.
So you've used the same line.
Is that
what you're trying to say? It's kind of the go-to Habs fan line. Yeah.
Well, Pete, sorry.
I want to talk
go ahead.
with the Montreal Canadiens before we get on with everything else. We have a very, very loyal fan that actually calls himself Toronto Habs fan.
I know him on Twitter. I follow him on Twitter.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, very good. And he has the hashtag of Fire Bergeron.
Yeah.
Are you on board with that too? Has he made too many mistakes to your hockey club this year? In the last couple of years?
Pretty close.
Really, eh?
Pretty close. The PK trade is something that I'm not going to live down for years.
Sure.
No matter
like you hated it, right? You hated it.
I hated the PK
trade.
So I love Weber. I would love to have Weber and PK.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But the PK trade is... It's not so much that it's bad in the short term, even though he's probably going to play for the Cup this year. It's bad in the long term in the sense that PK is going to be winning Norris's when Weber is basically Hal Gill when he's 40.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. I never really understood, and I think for a lot of people who have this negative feeling about PK, I always say the same thing. It's like, do you want him on your team though?
Yeah.
Because I'll take him.
Everybody wants him on his team.
And people, wow, the showboat. I'm going, who gives a shit?
I hate that about the NHL too. It's such an old white man's league.
Well, and you know what? That's people say, what are you saying? It's racist? I go, well, there is a tinge of saying we don't do that in the NHL. I'm like, but why not? Why can't you do like no one was losing their shit in Toronto when Jose Bautista did the bat flip.
Yeah.
But
it's baseball.
But it's
like
baseball.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I actually made that comparison. I remember people, outside of Toronto freaking out about Jose's bat flip, but inside the city, everyone was ecstatic and defending it. But PK celebrates a goal by pumping his fist and sliding down the ice, and it's a big deal because the NHL is this old league where they have this idea of. This is not the actual idea, but it feels like you can't have fun in this league. I remember Max Pacioretty scored a goal and he sheathed his sword with his stick, and people were freaking out.
See, that's
let him
fun.
Do it. It's not a bad thing. It's fun, man.
But it can be really almost, and I'm with you on this one, Elias. It's almost, Dave, oppressive.
Yep.
If someone wants to show a little,
good way to put it. Yeah.
Like, look, if you're playing for Hitch, I get the feeling that he's not thinking it's funny. Yeah, that was real good when you did the sword thing. Like, I really don't think that's happening. But I think if you play for, I don't know, like a Guy Boucher, like, shouldn't he be a little more?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Well, Terrier, one of the problems I had with hiring Michel Terrier from the beginning is when Habs won a game with PK on the team, Carey, Price, and PK would do this low high five after every game.
Yeah.
And Terrier came in, and the first thing he nixed was the low high five. So you can't do that after the game.
That's
the only thing you do is celebrate the fans, which I like, celebrating the fans. But that I remember thinking that the second he nixed that, I'm like, I'm not going to like this whole run with the Canadiens. I mean, they made the Eastern Conference Finals before Carey got hurt a couple years ago, which was great, which was a great run. But other than that, man, it's been nothing but bitching about PK and...
It is pissy.
Yeah,
it is really. Now
so
it is.
annoying.
Look, it's a religion in that city.
Yeah.
And now, did you ever get a chance to go to the Forum? Or was that
Sure.
gone?
Yeah.
So the Forum, magical, the whole area around it. But I even say
Very cool.
still the Bell Center.
It's amazing to go to a game around there. It's amazing.
The first time, just because how stuck it up it is here in Toronto. It took years afterwards. But the first time I saw that seamless glass.
Yeah.
I'd never seen that. And then I went to the concessions. And that was Chantel. Chantel, she said, I said, hello. Yeah, just a douchebag. He's a loser from Toronto.
Don't understand.
Hello, do you have what we call rye and ginger. Bien sûr, rye and ginger. You want two? Two? Can I get 2 doubles? Get what you want.
So now it's your favorite place.
I'm just, and I'm Irish,
Right.
so it's hard to get me lit up. But I'm bollocks by the third period. I'm looking down. I'm seeing Jean Beliveau going, "Hey, Johnny!" Like it was just, and what an atmosphere. Like if you want to go to a place that understands, just the reverence. That's what I would say, and talk to any single player. And we're gonna have Doug Gilmour in maybe next week. But if he starts talking about alumni, I'm going to say, number one, he goes, well, why is this even a question? It's Montreal.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Montreal,
he's a former Hab.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yep.
He goes, it's in its own universe than everybody else. And look, I've seen great ones. I spent time in Calgary. They're fantastic guys. Love them. But it's Montreal here than everybody else.
We want to know the worst thing about being a Montreal fan right now is, this is what I hate about Marc Bergevin, is there's a window. Whether Marc Bergevin admits it or not, there's a window. Carey Price is getting older. Weber's getting older.
Yep.
The cap's going to start screwing with the team. So you have to win a cup in the next 2 to 3 years. And the problem is the Leafs are going to be playing for a cup in that same window.
Oh, yeah.
And I want the Habs are the last Canadian team to win a cup. I want them to be the next one to win a cup. But the stupid Leafs did everything so properly, so well that they're coming up.
And that grinds.
It grinds me so much.
They did it properly. They
did
really
it properly.
First time in 50 years?
Yeah.
Maybe ever, Dave. I would argue ever. Yeah.
It's the best example. Even if they don't win a cup,
Sure.
they're going to make it. They're going to make runs for years. It's the best example of breaking down a team and building it back up I've ever seen since I've been a sports
I agree 100%. And coming from a Habs fan, like you.
Oh, it hurts to say that.
Do you want some free boo? We have that here. We've got booze here.
We got a bar full.
Are you a big drinker? Do you have
I'm not a big drinker. This might lead me to
Yes,
drink.
I was going to say.
But I'm not. Yeah. No, if the Leafs make a run for the cup, like the Senators are making a run, but they're kind of like a surprising.
I think
run.
it's accidental more
It's
than
kind of
anything.
accidental.
Yeah.
You know?
Like
they're good. They're a good team.
They're
but
not going to be back in this position next year.
Exactly. That's the best way to put it. But the Leafs are going to go every year now. If you look at, I don't remember the actual statistics, but if you look at the last half of the season, the way the Leafs played, if you prorated that to a whole season or to next season, this is like a division-leading team.
Well, I think that because of the moves made by Toronto, which to me almost shockingly perfect. I mean, nothing is perfect, but the blueprint by Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, as much as people don't want to hear it, everything they did, including having Lou. And I know a lot of people thought, oh, he's past his prime, you shouldn't have him. He is part of the fabric of everything that holds that thing together, including no beards, no this, no that. But in order to get these young, and these are young guys. If you want this to last, then you better have a foundation. Even if at some point he's not here, at least Shanahan, and it filters all the way down through. Hunter, I think Dave would probably be a part of that.
Yes, very big part.
If it works out right, you could see a lot of Edmonton, Toronto possibilities.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And in terms of the hockey that's been played in Edmonton with Connor McDavid, you got to, even as a Habs fan, you got to appreciate
You
that.
love it as a hockey fan.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a text thread going with a couple of friends of mine that we've been going for years. Friend in Vancouver, we're all Habs fans. So every game, every hockey game, every playoff game, we're texting each other. And the thing, we can swear on this, right? The thing we say the most, fuck Marner. Fuck, he's so good. Did Austin Matthews get 40 fucking goals? Are you kidding me? And we hate it. Like I love that the Habs have beat the Leafs 15 games in a row. Like that's not enough to hold on to.
No, yeah.
It's not enough. 15 games in a row is nothing because now is what's important. And anyway.
We're in conversation with Elias Tufexes here in studio, rawmike.richards.com. Download us, of course, on iTunes as well. Watch us on the dedicated YouTube channel, Raw Mike Richards, as you're doing right now. And, of course, Elias, you've fallen into a category that is a category that probably, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago wasn't necessarily that. Now,
sure,
voiceovers is something that's been around since the 50s. But creating gaming now means that essentially, is there a difference between that and movies?
No, especially now. It's funny. Occasionally I'll Google myself. And,
nice, really nice.
I'll also look myself up on the internet.
Sorry,
loving this. That joke writes itself. But when you look me up on Google, it says Elias Tufexes voice actor. That's what Google has broken me down into. But the truth of the matter is, if you look at my IMDb or whatever, 80% of my stuff is film and television, and even the video game stuff is performance capture stuff. which means I don't know if you guys know what performance capture.
Okay, because I do want to get to that because people who don't understand this is a really cool thing.
The clip
do.
you just showed for the people who saw it, none of that was done in a voice booth. That was all done just down here in Toronto studio at Ubisoft, where you're in this giant place with cameras, computer cameras pointing at you. About I think it's 50 of them, or maybe not that many, and you're in a tight suit and you got dots all over you.
Those little balls, right? The
all
little
over you.
balls.
Yeah. You got a camera on your face with dots all over your face, and you just do it like a film, or more like a stage play, because you don't have to worry about lighting and things like that. But that's how we do it now, and that was 5 years ago. So you can imagine that what we're doing now is getting crazier and crazier, and it's less about actual voice work than being in a studio and doing it like a film. In fact, when you audition for a video game now, you audition like a film. You don't come in and do it in front of a mic. I mean, I do voice work, of course. I mean, Paul's my agent.
Big agent.
But what I've become popular for, or what I've not popular, but I guess
really. I mean, you look it up and they're like, what does it say? Cult.
Yeah, I got a cult following.
Cult.
Yeah.
What do you mean cult following?
There's a bit of a cult following, but because of the video games that I've done, the popularity.
Well, they're massive.
Yeah, they just
massive.
surpass any TV show that I've done or anything else, because they're so popular. And I have a very specific type of voice in my regular kind of.
I never noticed.
Timbre. So that voice has now become kind of a thing where people know me from. They'll hear me. I do like the voice of Lexus cars or something.
Sure, yeah,
and
yeah.
I'll get people texting me on Twitter and stuff saying, "Why is a character from one of these video games trying to sell me a car?"
So they do. They pick up on that.
They pick up on my voice specifically. It's lost me jobs, to be honest, because
that sucks.
my normal voice. So if they want like a normal a character speaking in my normal timbre, they won't hire me because they'll know people will be thinking about other video games or other jobs that I've done.
Yeah.
Luckily, it hasn't affected me on TV shows and stuff yet, but it definitely affects me in my video game or
That's interesting.
voiceover work.
Yeah, because I was going to say, in a sense, you almost get pigeonholed into what you're popular.
As long as
with.
I'm still working, I don't care.
Yeah, pay me then. Pay me. I'll work once a year. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, if you pay me enough to work once a year, I'll be fine.
Yeah, Smitty, get on that. What
Yes,
was
Smitty.
it? Was it a scale and a half? Do your job, for Christ's sakes. Here's a question from Jake, and this is interesting too. And there's a bunch. Just so you know, we have a whole bunch of questions for Elias. If you want to get in on this conversation, and I can see that the Twitter's kind of going nuts here. You got questions for Elias? So at Twitter, it's at Raw Mike Richards or at Dave Bastel. If your phone goes off, Elias.
I turned it off.
Okay,
I'm
all right,
polite.
okay. Don't worry. Yeah, blow off the fans. He doesn't need you. He doesn't need you. Here's Jake. For you, is voice acting, now again, that's maybe even for games more difficult since user choice can change plot and dialogue, and what's the average time to record?
Sure, that's a good question. It depends on the game. Like a game like Splinter Cell, it's more of a story you're following, and you play along like you're watching a film almost. You pretty much are watching a film, and then to get to the next part of the story, you have to play a level. But one of the games I'm most known for is a game called Deus Ex, Human Revolution or Mankind Divided. And that game is basically, you guys remember when we were kids, the Choose Your Own Adventure books?
Yes.
I wasn't a huge reader.
I read those to my kids.
Right.
Too, yeah.
So you'd get to a page and it said, if
You
you're
got
going to
an
go
option.
here,
Yeah.
turn to page 82. If you want to go here, turn to
I
page
thought
3.
if you read Penthouse enough, you could kind of do the same thing.
Yeah, basically the same
Yeah.
thing. If you want to see this ass, go
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
Exactly. So with a game like Deus Ex, it's basically that thing. You meet a character and then you have a branch or a tree of possible dialogue options. So yeah, I got to record all of those. So I think for the first one, it took us 4 years to do the whole game. And not every day. We're working,
But still,
you're working 3 times a month, 4 to 8 hours.
But still, yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot of dialogue.
I mean, how many pages? Can you even know how many pages that would be?
No, we don't. I've done days where it's like, look, we got to get through 800 pages today because this level has to go out at this point.
How do you remember all those goddamn lines?
Well, that's the difference. So if it's voice work, obviously I have the lines in front of me. If it's performance capture work, It's tough. I mean, you're never going to do 800 pages of performance capture.
No.
You'll do 20 max.
Yeah, you won't even do that in a soap opera in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dave's been in some movies too.
Have you really?
Well,
Not to
no, it's true. He said a couple lines to a hot chick, Gina Gershon.
Gina Gershon.
What
Oh,
did you
Gina
say?
Gershon,
Oh,
nice.
come on, Mike.
You were. He was.
I'm talking
It was.
to a guy
It was a
that-
science fiction movie. He's like, do you think the world's going to blow up or something like that? Didn't you?
He sounds
Did
like
you
me
do it
too,
exactly
doesn't
like
he?
that?
That's exact. Yes,
I can
yes.
see why you're working. Yeah, you do. When you're doing performance capture, it's you have to have it memorized, of course. It's like doing, I liken it almost to doing a play because you can't really cut because in some
But
cases,
even reading that much is tough to do, even if
Yeah.
it's in front of you.
Yeah.
I boot reading a tweet.
Yeah,
For God's
He's
sakes. I mean,
not joking.
you got to prepare and you got to you got to know your stuff and you got to know what you're talking about.
Yes.
And yeah, if you have most of the time for that game in particular, I had a great voice director, Simon, and he got to know me so well. He could hear when I'm getting tired, so he would give me a break, or he can hear when I'm like, you know what, we're done for today. Sometimes he'd stop me at 3 hours and be like, we're gonna come back tomorrow.
Because this game, and when you start talking about Splinter Cell, there has to be an energy to it. So if you don't have
Splinter Cell in particular, because he's always coked up, that character.
yeah, so if you don't got the energy, you can't do that
Yeah.
guy that day.
Well, Splinter Cell is like here's a great thing about video games is so when I'm filming TV, like I just did a show last week and we were working. I got there at 6 a.m. and I would finish at 2 a.m.
Yeah, those are crazy.
You just keep going and going and going until you get everything. The great thing about video games is it's unionized differently. It's not even unionized. So the people that work on the games are 9-to-5ers. The people that are capturing you or filming you,
Yeah.
they're 9 to 5. So you show up at 8 and you finish at 5 every day. And then because you don't have to worry about sets, you don't have to worry about lighting, you don't have to worry about hair and makeup. You can burn through a lot of as long as you know your stuff. You can burn through a lot of scenes pretty quickly. But I love it because I get there at 8 and I go home at 5, as opposed to a TV show where you're
you're
working
really there
16
for a long
hours
time.
for all week.
Well, it falls up. Here's a John Little, and this is here's his Twitter handle at Colbin Rules.
Oh, I guess he's a Splinter Cell.
There you go.
I think I know him. I think
Does
he's
Elias
crazy.
like film and television better than video games or voice? But I think what you're saying is now it's not as much to
Not as much of a
distinguish
difference.
between them.
Sure. What I like is is characters. And to be perfectly honest, a lot of video games are written better than a lot of TV shows these days. But for me, it's just a matter of whatever the character is, and if it's something that I like to play, I'll work those 16 hours.
Yeah.
I did a show called The Expanse last year, and it's one of my favorite characters. I love that show. I was working 15 hours a day. I didn't even think about it. I was like, I'll continue. I just love this character. But I did a show a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to mention that I didn't love working on because the character was pretty shitty and the writing was pretty shitty. And I'd just be like, when are we going? When are we done? How many setups we have left? These are champagne problems. I'm well aware of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would much prefer to work on a well-written video game than a badly written TV show.
Let's fast forward to the video games for the second. How the hell did you actually get into the video game side of things? Because I'm sure you're not thinking, hey, I'm going the route of video games one day. Like, when was that first breakthrough opportunity?
It kind of happened in the sense that it started out as just voice work. Most
Sure.
video games were only voice work. In fact, the first performance capture I had ever done was on not this Splinter Cell, but one previous, and I just auditioned as a. It's actually a funny story because I auditioned as kind of a Joe Pesci guy. I came in here and I did Coben, that character you saw there, was supposed to sound like this. I was like, hey, you motherfucker. You
could see it, though. You could see how that would work with that character.
Yeah.
Completely.
So I came in, I did that, and I was working with the director, and every time he'd yell cut, I'd be like, hey, you motherfucker. And he'd be like, cut. I'd be like, yeah, so what else do you want to do? And then he said, why don't you do the energy you're doing, but use your voice. And then I ended up, that's how Coben came about.
Okay.
But it was just voice. And then they asked me, how tall are you? Because at this point, you had to be 5'10" to do performance capture. And I was 5'10". He said, okay, I think he's going to bring you in to do the character also. Because I was just auditioning like I would a cartoon or anything else. It was just an audition that I went in for.
So height requirement now to actually...
Then, not anymore.
Wow.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Back then, it was still it's still in its infancy, but back then it was really in its infancy. They were using the animators to mocap the characters, and then I would have to come in and match what the animators had done. They're all terrible actors. All of them are doing this all the time. So they stumbled on the idea of maybe we should use the actors to performance capture it at the same time. And once that happened, it just kind of became a thing where that's all they do now. There's still games definitely that are animated or aren't done through performance capture that you just do voice. That still happens, just like cartoons and things like that. That's going to be there forever. And I do a section of that in my career is that. But a lot of video games now, especially the big ones, they all just do it that way now.
That's wicked.
Yeah.
Now, one of your so you come from Montreal
Mhm.
and you go to school in Montreal or New York?
No, I went to school. I went to the Dome Theater at Dawson College in Montreal.
You did, okay.
Which was great for experience. I can't recall anything I actually learned that I think about when I'm working, but it was great.
Isn't that with everything?
Yeah,
though?
with everything you go to college for. But it was great because you do a lot of plays and things like that. So it was good to get in front of audiences, 3 or 4 times a year. And then I moved to New York for about 6 months because I didn't know anything about the business, and I thought, well, you go down there and you do a play off Broadway and somebody sees you and you become a star. It's not how it works. So I starved to death in New York for 6 months and came back to Montreal. And then
Now, what are you auditioning for at that time? Are you doing like for stage
in New York?
Yes.
I wasn't auditioning at all. I was doing a play and begging people came to see me. I was doing an off Broadway play. Nobody came, and
was there nudity in it or something?
There was not. There should have been. Maybe I would have brought
nudity and free beer. Usually brings them in.
Yeah, I should have thought of that, but there was not, and I did not make anything out of it. And I ran out of money, and I came back. I was living with my grandmother, and I auditioned in Montreal in Pierreville, and I auditioned for a Canadian film called Decoys. This is back in 2003, and I booked it, and it was like the second lead. It was one of my first 5 auditions. And that gave me, not a ton of money, but enough that I ditched Montreal and I went to Vancouver. And then from there I worked for about 6 years, and then I came here, and now I go to LA and back and forth.
Well, I think about a year ago I had the chance to interview Mitch Albom.
Yeah, I did a film with him. Yeah,
very fascinating. And The 5 People You Meet in Heaven was a very, very big book.
Yeah,
you're in this.
Yeah,
and you're in it with John Voight.
Yeah.
Jeff Daniels would have been in that too.
Ellen Bernstein.
Michael
Imperioli.
So this has got to be pretty
This was one of my
impressive.
first jobs too.
So you freaked out? I mean, John Voight's walking in.
When I met John Voight, I remember specifically, there are 2 things about John Voight that I remember. One, I went to shake his hand, but he was playing an older character, so he had makeup all over his hand. So when I was like, hey, Mr. Voight, it's nice. He's like, I can't shake your hand. And I didn't know what. I thought it was like, oh, God, did I do something? Yeah. Then I found out. He's like, no, it's because of the makeup. And he was very nice. And,
everyone seems to love, like Ray Donovan to me is one of the, I love the
I love
show.
Ray Donovan. Liev Schreiber is also an actor I adore, yeah.
Oh, tremendous.
Yeah. But John was super nice. I know he gets a lot of flack for being a hard right conservative, but I could not have found a nicer big time actor to work with the first time I'd worked with somebody. And Michael Imperioli from The Sopranos was in it, and he and I worked together a lot in that. And my favorite quick story about him was, this was my first big job, right? With other actors, like not Canadian, and with other big actors. And on my first day working with him, we were in a prisoner of war camp in Langley, technically Langley, but it's supposed to be the Philippines. And
Langley becomes the Philippines. That's interesting.
But it looked great. They did a great job with it. But so I'm doing a scene with Michael, and the camera's there. So Michael is over there, and they're shooting Michael first. And we have dialogue back and forth. He finishes his stuff. They turn around the camera to work on me, and the assistant director tells Michael he can go home. He says, you're done, because we're shooting Elias now, and that's it. You don't do that. As assistant director, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to have the actors working, even if he's off camera. Michael goes home, gets changed in his trailer. They're setting up the lighting for me. Hears that I'm still doing it. Comes back. He was actually driving off a set. Made the driver turn around. Comes back. Stands off camera for me to do all my dialogue.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I'll never forget that story, and I'm always going to remember that. And every time I've bumped into him here and there, I always bring that up and how much I appreciate it.
Okay, these are the giving nice stories.
Yeah, the giving nice. I don't really have any bad.
No, I want
really
at least one name of some douchebag or what, I've never worked with this guy again.
I'm not going to name names. I've worked with actresses, a couple of actresses that I can remember, who were very difficult to work with. Wouldn't come out of their trailer type.
Ooh,
actresses.
that's bad.
And
were they that great or not that great?
No, they're terrible actresses. Because I've done a lot of terrible sci-fi
Good
films.
looking? Good looking?
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay.
What do you say? You've been in a lot of
terrible sci-fi films. I've been in a lot of terrible sci-fi films.
Like, what ones do you think were terrible? What was terrible for you?
I could. What the hell?
They're gonna hire.
There was one that they changed. The title that they changed it to is the best, but the original title was called. What was the original title? Deadly Water. It was about a giant squid that was under the water.
Jeez, watch out.
But they changed it to Kraken Tentacle of the Deep, which is the best title of any movie I've ever done.
Okay.
But
who would have thought that was the better title?
But the actor who was in it was I think the second runner-up on The Bachelor. He was like the lead.
Oh no,
of the.
That's not a good lead.
Man.
No.
See, that's what happens when you're an actor. So that was after I had done 5 People You Meet in Heaven. So I went from working with John Voight.
It's huge.
To that movie. So that's what it's like to be an actor when you're just like a working actor. You do these amazing films with these amazing actors. And what am I doing? I'm getting pulled under by a giant squid. Okay.
Now, and now in those moments,
Yeah.
you're thinking, I fucked up. I was working with Jeff Daniels and Alan Bernstein, and now I'm working with some guy was in a porn film, and he's in a gorilla suit, and he's pulling me underwater.
I'm thinking pay my bills.
Yeah.
That's honestly what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this will pay me X amount. I honestly, you sit there on those days on those movies, which thankfully I haven't done in a long time, but you sit there and you go, how much money am I making now? Are we into overtime? Like, that's honestly what you're thinking.
Seriously.
You're not thinking about the character. You're not thinking about it. Because there's no character. My character was a guy who was fishing and then gets pulled under by a giant squid, and then I become a big bubbly blood.
See, that's the kind of movie.
And I did have to audition for it.
Those are the kind
You
of
had
movies
to?
I was
Yeah.
Because I'm going, I can be.
Anybody can do
You
that.
have to audition for everything.
Anybody can do it. I remember it really pisses you off because I'm like, I just came off of this movie with this, and they're like, can you be scared like you see a sea monster under you? Like, motherfucker. Yeah, all right, I'll do it. I have a story that shows what it's like to be a Canadian actor, which is, I'm not going to name the movie, but I auditioned for this film. There was 12 pages of an audition.
The audition was
12 pages.
Oh, and by the way, in the business, they call them sides.
The sides.
See
were
what I
12
did there?
pages.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did this audition. It was for one of the main actor's sons in a big actor. I did the audition, 12 pages, and it was like a Hamlet audition where you went through every type of emotion for this character. Killed the audition, did great. The casting director said to me, she's like, amazing. But we're friendly, the casting director, and she said to me, to be honest, they're probably going to go with his actual son in the movie. Like the actor was going to use his actual son, but they are mandated to audition Canadian actors for this thing.
So you're wasting your time.
So I'm wasting my time. Well, wait, it gets worse. So I did the audition, the 12 pages, and I was like, okay, I understand. It's the business, whatever.
No, it sucks,
It
man.
sucks, but it's the business.
What
But then
a
I got a
waste
call
of
from my
time.
agent saying, oh, they have another role that they'd like you to audition for. I said, okay, sure. Send me the role. The sides for this role were, the phone is for you. That's it. First of all, they wanted me to audition for that
line.
after 12 pages of that Hamlet audition. that I
So
did.
anal, too.
And secondly, even if they offered me that role, I would have said no. I'm like, I'm not auditioning for that. I just gave you 12 or whatever, 20 minutes
Yes.
of me auditioning.
Yes.
I can say the phone's for you. Secondly, I'm not doing that anyway. But that's what it's like. They don't. Now it's a little bit different. Now, I can demand a couple of things and I can say I'm not doing this or.
That's cool. Demands are good.
Yeah. Literally yesterday I got a role offered to me on a show and I said, I'm not going to do it. And they said, we completely understand. We'll find something else for you. So I'm at that point now. It's still not, where I can turn down major things, but I'm at a good point in my career where I can do that. But back when I was starting out, or back when I'd just done 5 People You Meet in Heaven, Jesus, man, they don't give a shit. They don't care.
But this is what's interesting about, understanding, as they say, the craft. Just how much has gone into guys who show up and they get these sides. So years ago when I'm doing some voiceover stuff and I'm with Edna and Smitty and they'd send me on some of these camera rolls, which, I'm working in radio at the time. I remember 1050 Chum, and they were going to do Eddie and the Cruisers too.
Which is like your favorite movie.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, what? And so I go in there like, yeah, you're gonna, audition for the Rockstar guy or something. I go, Rockstar guy. yeah, I can totally do that or whatever. And so I go down there, but I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So the girl goes, aren't you going to pick up your sides? And when you hear sides, what do you think of?
Like
beans,
potatoes,
beans,
and,
French fries.
and
I'm looking around for where the food is.
and-
She's like, the script, and it was just down on Yonge Street here. So I go across.
I think I know that casting director.
I go across the park. I go across the park, and there's all these words, but there's different scenes. There's like 10. I'm going, how the fuck? How do you know which one you're gonna do? And so I kind of read some stuff.
Did Paul not tell you any of this
No,
stuff?
he didn't know. He did nothing for me. He never does anything for me. And so I think he just set me up. So I go in there. There's the casting director and a couple of other people, and just like the little videotape, and they're like, okay, state your name, say your agency, and I'll read the thing. And I'm like, where are the other actors? Like I thought for some reason I'm going to be on a set. You don't know, right? So I go in there, and they go, okay, let's do
Individual
the breakfast scene. 72, page 72. Like, I don't even know what they're talking about. So, I don't know. I can't remember. And they're like, okay, Mike Richards, ETM, action. And the guy was all pissed. I mean, he's done this so many. He's like, so, Tommy, have you seen Johnny? No. That's not the line. Like, I don't even know what it was.
Improvising at
Because
this
I
point.
just don't know what I'm doing. They're looking at each other going, okay, let's try it one more time. So, Tommy, have you seen Larry or whatever? I went, fuck no, because I know in movies, if you swear, that's good. And I'm telling you, it was like, thank you. We don't want to do any more scenes? No, we're good here.
You got it.
You know who got the role? Mark Holmes from Platinum Blonde.
Oh, really?
He's
A real rock,
an actual
rock
rock
star.
He is a rock star,
You wasted my time. I'm an actor. You'll hear from my union.
And
Yeah.
you should be sad because Eddie and the Cruisers 2 was massive.
Yeah.
Speaking of Canadian icons, have you been in any Michael Ironside movies?
I know Michael personally.
I've been
he's
in
cool.
3.
Yeah.
I've been in 3.
You've been in 3
Yeah,
Michael Ironside
yeah.
movies?
Dave,
I actually
Dave,
wait.
I'm just saying.
Enough
I'm
about you.
just
It's not,
saying.
it's not the raw Dave Bastel.
Back to hockey. Michael and I went to his brother's house in Peterborough
Okay.
to watch the Habs in 2010 when they made that run, and he was he was so much fun. I love that guy. I just
He's
saw
got
him.
a cool. I mean, his
Yeah.
voice alone.
His
just hire
voice
the
and
guy.
his look, right?
Yeah.
He's the bad guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy that screws you or does something.
And
that-
yet he's the nicest guy.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a really cool
No,
guy.
that's
He
awesome.
he kind of scared Arnold in one of those movies. Wasn't
In Total
he?
Recall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like,
I
oh
think
my
it was-
God, not Ironside. But no, there's a lot of great Canadian actors that are sometimes not known as Canadian.
Yeah.
But they're working actors, and they work a lot. I'm trying to think of, she plays the wife of everyone for about 20 years.
That's vague.
In like Patriot Games or Harrison Ford in the
Patriot
Air
Games.
Force 1.
Oh, if it's-
she was a wife of Arnold in one of those other ones. The dark hair. Who am I thinking? And I'm looking at she's never
You named
changed.
3 different
Yeah,
actresses.
it's like she's all those things. And I think sometimes we look at these. You think that the actor has to live in a mansion in Los Angeles to be successful.
Yeah.
I would say a successful actor is someone, you can get married, you raise kids, you pay all your bills, the kids. I mean, you just want basically a normal life, which is hard to get doing what you do because sometimes it's not consistent.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. My goal. A lot of people ask me because I'm spending a lot of time in LA these days, and a lot of people are asking me, "What do you want to do? Do you want to be a big star? Do you want to?" It's not. I don't. One of my favorite actors, an actor I worked with named David Stratton. David Strathairn. Excuse me. David Stratton's a director. David Strathairn, one of my favorite actors. He got nominated for Best Actor for Good Night and Good Luck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
yeah, wonderful,
huge,
actor. Great guy. I worked with him on a show called Alpha. It was a whole season working with him. I was very lucky. He lives, I believe, in Connecticut. He puts himself on. He probably doesn't even have to audition anymore. People call him. They bring him to where they want him to shoot. He's finished. He goes back to Connecticut. That's it. Not that I want to live in Connecticut, but my goal as an actor is people call me when they need me to be somewhere.
Yeah.
They bring me there. I do the job. I go home. I'm not looking to be a big movie star, and so far that's what I'm doing. The only difference in what I want to achieve in my current situation is I have to live where the work is. That's why I'm in Toronto and Los Angeles. It's just that's where the work is.
And people should understand Toronto is a hub, is it not, for a lot of this stuff?
It's definitely a hub. There's definitely hurdles you have to cross being a Canadian actor, which is why a lot of us go down to LA. You'd be surprised how many Canadian actors go down to LA and get work up here. It's the oddest thing.
It's just
but
the way it goes.
Just the way it goes.
Yeah.
You go down there and suddenly you're part of a bigger pool, but you're kind of looked at a little differently, maybe a little more seriously by other companies, and then they bring you back up here.
So you must have some famous friends now.
Sure. Well, yeah.
Who's a famous friend? Who would you hang out
You know what's
with
funny?
now?
I don't get nervous when I meet, like with John Voight. I honestly didn't get nervous. I was just excited to work with him. But I get nervous. Like I met Tim Raines, and that made me nervous. I was like, oh my God, it's Tim Raines, The Rock. Oh my God, I'm freaking out.
Absolutely.
Like when I meet sports heroes, that's when I get nervous. But when I work with.
But not work with. Well, let's say so. Dave and I go, hey, Elias, we're in Los Angeles. It's Mike and Dave. And you're like, no, I can't.
When I hang up on
yeah, because I am having dinner tonight with. Who'd we be impressed by?
Oh no, I don't really have. Here's the thing, man.
Someone that we would know. You must have someone that we would know that we'd be going.
Mostly guys that you would know. Not really.
No, no one.
No, most of the guys I know I'm friendly with are guys like in the voice industry and things like that. I don't really.
It's like Hadley Kay or someone like that.
Yeah, well, like Troy Baker and Roger Craig Smith, guys like. So you wouldn't know that. Jennifer Hale. These are all like actual.
Jennifer Hale.
You know Jennifer Hale?
Is she from Montreal?
She is.
She's
from Canada. I know where she's from. I think she's from BC. Actually, I'm not sure about that. But yeah, she's a wonderful actress. She's pretty popular.
I've got a couple more, and actually these two are they must be specific to what you do because obviously this one from Calnus and this one from Matthew Xavier Hahn.
I like that name.
Okay, so
Matthew
question for Elias: is motion capture work ever exhausting? And Matthew says, would Elias prefer mocap plus voice performance as compared to traditional TV? Parentheses, The Expanse, Alphas, Ascension.
This guy's listing my resume.
Yeah, he knows a lot. Actually, I think he's across the street there behind the van.
He's with the binoculars.
I like I said before, I don't really prefer one or the other in terms. I just like good characters and good writing. A lot of, like I said, a lot of video games these days are better written than a lot of television. What was the first question?
So the first one was: is motion capture work ever exhausting? Is it exhausting?
No more exhausting than film or television. Well, there's two types, right? So there's the when I'm doing like the Splinter Cell thing you saw, or Deus Ex or something. It's just acting, but in a weird outfit. But on the show The Expanse, I played a regular character last season, but the season that just finished airing, I played a 9-foot-tall kind of. I was kind of like the Gollum of the season. That's exhausting because it's all physical. I'm jumping around on the ship, I'm climbing, and we did that performance capture. So that stuff, yeah, I remember we had to jump from one deck to another. I'm not 9 feet tall, so we had to figure out how to jump. It's very interesting.
You're close. You're close.
They would bring me, I'm real close. They bring me on the set of the ship, and it's a specific size, but because my creature was 9 feet tall, when we'd go to the mocap stage, everything was shrunk down, and mathematically they did it perfectly accurately.
Yes.
So I'm 9 feet tall now, and so we're jumping around doing a lot of runs. He had long arms, so I was doing a lot of runs, and I also played a bunch of soldiers for them just because I was there. They said we need soldiers that are running away, so I would just run away and go back and forth and back and forth. That kind of stuff is exhausting. Like when you think of the creatures in Avatar or things like that, that kind of thing, that's tiring. But doing performance capture generally is, for me, it's just like regular work in a weird outfit.
So, really, when you take a look at this, how much computer-generated stuff are in big-time movies, especially if there's a lot of special effects and so on, there's now not a huge difference between what you're talking about and being in another Jurassic Park or something that's got that much stuff in it. You're still expending, I would think, the same amount of energy with people who are putting effects in. Like, it must be a very small line from what you're talking about.
Watch there's one on YouTube of the Guardians of the Galaxy, the new one.
Yeah.
There's a behind-the-scenes thing. Entire thing is on green screen. There's very few sets because you're not going to build a planet, so it makes sense. And that's the same type of thing as performance capture. It's just another way of capturing a performance. Bret Hart agrees with me.
Is the Hitman in?
Was that?
Is the Hitman talking to you?
Well, he's just nodding.
He agrees, yeah.
Oh, God, I've decapitated the Hitman.
Oh, that Hitman. Well, that has happened once or twice in his career. I will tell you that.
I love it.
Vicious,
You know what I've always wanted to do? I've always wanted to, I mean, it's a touchy subject, but I'm just going to leave him decapitated.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to play Owen Hart in a film.
Ooh.
I always thought I could gain
Yeah.
50, 60 pounds of muscle.
You got the lighter features, too.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
you have
almost-
to grow out the hair a little.
I said you could probably play Chris Benoit, but
I don't think you want to play Chris Benoit.
Yeah, actually, as an actor, I would want to play Chris
Yeah.
Benoit. Again, I'd have to gain, 60 pounds of muscle, but
well, they figured a way how to do it.
they're doing it. They're doing a Chris Benoit film.
Are
They're
they
legitimately
really?
doing one, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
Lexi Alexander, I think is her last name, is directing
We just
it.
talked about that the other
Yeah.
day.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I actually talked to her, and she's not going to cast me because no way I'm going to gain enough weight. But I said, I would love to play Chris Benoit in a movie because I did actually train as a professional wrestler for about 2 months back in
That's pretty cool.
2000.
That's cool.
There was never something I wanted
Like
to
at a
pursue.
school, like one of the schools?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was with Mark Le Grizzly. He was a 300-pound guy who, when you splash you, it would hurt.
Yeah, I was going to say, you
Yeah.
can't fake that.
So are you a GSP fan?
I am, I would say a big GSP fan. I don't know about his comeback.
Scares me a little bit.
Scares me a bit too. Yeah. But I just, you know what I love about GSP is the respect that he shows to everybody. It's just, it's funny, I was just complaining about people complaining about PK Subban. But then the other end of the spectrum, I also really like guys who are super. Like, I love Shea Weber. I love him. He's super respectful. He's going to take your head off when he has to. I don't know if you guys watched the Habs series, but if you remember what he did to JT Miller, it was the bet. He just railed on JT Miller, and JT Miller never touched Carey Price again. Too bad it didn't work. But I love guys like that too. But so that's why I love GSP because he's so respectful, and he's not. Like the Conor McGregor is the opposite,
Correct,
where he just goes the other direction. But I like Conor McGregor too. I like him as a fighter.
I love him. He's a
You
beautiful.
love him? Well,
he's
you're Irish.
He's a bit of a person, and looking for that fight with that Mayweather character.
I talked to a fight trainer who I was working with on a show last week, and he's like, Mayweather would kill him.
Yeah. What do
Yeah.
you think about that? Because I just don't think it's a good thing. If I'm Conor McGregor, I mean, look, there's nothing he thinks that he can't do, and I get it. It's kind of who he is. But when you start mixing disciplines where one, Mayweather, who might be considered one of the best of all time in that sport, do I need the money that badly? I don't think I would do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's $100 million. I'd let Mayweather beat me up.
It's big cash. I'm signing up.
Yeah,
Wow.
but
what
yeah, I
I'm
don't
saying.
think apparently because Mayweather, he's not much of a striker. I mean, he has a good striking ability, but not like Mayweather. And Mayweather doesn't have to worry about anything but boxing.
But you can't hit him.
Mayweather's just going to defend.
Yeah.
defend,
That's the
defend.
problem.
Defend,
No one can
defend.
hit him.
Connor's going to punch himself out, and then, of course, I don't know that much about the sport that maybe he has a plan. I don't even know what's going to happen. Is it going to happen?
I bet you'd get
It's
signed. I bet you'd
it's
get-
more
taking
on
a
the
while.
is than is not, and I'm surprised that I'm even saying that, but it's true.
Yeah.
But it is true.
That would be cool. I'd like to see it.
Now, so are you well known enough now that if you go to Vegas,
No.
you're getting like the good table, you're getting the ringside or something?
Only if people this is the type of famous I am. If people recognize me from something,
Yeah.
I get a famous treatment. But if I walk in and go, "Hi, I'm Elias," in fact, nobody knows who the hell.
They go, I'm sorry, what was that last name? Is that a cocktail? Get out of here.
But I do definitely have advantage if I walk into a store or something and goes, "Oh, I know you from this." Then you get kind of the preferential treatment. But no, if I'm walking down the street, nobody gives a shit.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're a very cool guy for doing this. We knew that we had a chance maybe if you weren't working that you would come in all fairness, talking to Smitty, who's been awesome.
Would he check my schedule?
Yeah, and saying, okay.
No, he's fine. He's free.
Let's just stock him. You got to get him in here, and people are really excited about it. But when you get to actually talk to someone and realize that as much as people see the glamour side of it, and of course you see the actual end product, the ability to actually stay in the business to get to that point is really, really hard, and you've done that.
Well, I like to say a lot of younger actors come up and ask me, how do you make a living at it? And I tell them, I have my ratio is, I'll do 20 auditions and book one job. So that's 19 times I'm told no. 19 times I think I'm ugly or I'm not a good actor or something like that shows up in the back of my head. So it's tough to stick it out. But that's why actors get paid relatively well for the amount of time put in. Because if we weren't, we wouldn't be able to make a living at it.
Do you have a favorite that you looked at and said, that's an actor for me. When you were young studying,
Well, my hero is
Yeah.
Orson Welles for sure. Orson Welles is absolutely
Really?
my hero. Yeah, because he does a lot of voice work, and he's a wonderful orator, and he's a wonderful actor. And I intend to be, when I'm 70, I want to be 300 pounds.
you got to do some of those Paul Masson ads.
Yeah,
Where he goes,
Paul Masson.
in California.
I watched that it was his birthday last week. I watched that every year on his birthday.
You got to see this. Have you seen the guy do the spoof?
Yeah. It's
Oh
so
my
funny. And then
God.
there's dog spoofs. And yeah. There is a vintage in Paul Masson. He doesn't say anything. That's my favorite part.
In the peas, you would never say pea pods or whatever you can get the feel.
Well, there's a friend of mine, Maurice LaMarche, who's popular for doing Orson Welles. Like
Really?
He did Orson Welles in the Ed Wood movie. Vincent D'Onofrio played him, but he does the brain in Pinky and the Brain. Maurice LaMarche.
Cool. Okay.
He's the best Orson Welles impressionist, and he does one on. I don't know if you guys remember the show The Critic.
Oh,
with
of course,
John
with
Lovitz.
John Lovitz. Yeah, absolutely.
So back in the day, every time they just cut to a random Orson Welles sketch, and he does that one. You have to look it up. Maurice LaMarche, Orson Welles. He does country peas, full of country goodness and good penis. That's terrible. I don't do a good Orson Welles, but he does a great Orson Welles. But yeah, I love Orson Welles. Guys like that. James Gandolfini was a hero of mine.
Oh wow, just it's
really
so
upset about that.
I mean, that's it's funny. I saw what was it the other day? I saw Splash, and there's John Candy.
Yeah.
And I think like most Canadians, and I'm saying, look, a huge male following, I start to well up a little bit.
I well up at the end of Uncle Buck and Plane, Trains, and Automobiles every time.
He was Canada to us. He was Johnny
Yeah.
Toronto. That's what they called him, and that that's great that you said that. And again, I appreciate the fact that you came in here on a show for us, which is this is what 16, 17 shows in. Like we've only been doing this.
Oh,
for
nice, cool.
Like 3 weeks. We've made the jump. But
I don't know how you're wearing a hat in here at 2K.
Yeah,
It's like you're
and
gonna
next time
die.
you come, we're gonna have to turn on the AC. This is brutal. This is a sweat factory.
Because in my acting days, fuck. What do you fucking mean? Why is he? It's a McDonald's ad. Why is he doing that? Yeah. Hey, so if ever you're around again, at some point, especially when the hockey season starts, we'll have to get your Habs.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be in town when the hockey season starts, but
you gonna be back in LA?
I'll be back in LA. But when the playoffs start next year and the Habs are making a run for, what am I kidding?
Yeah, I know. That's sad. Okay, we'll cue the music here.
They'll
Great
be
stuff.
fine. They'll be fine, Habs fans.
Just become
They'll get
best
eliminated in
friends.
the second round.
You want to go do
Baby
karate in the
steps.
garage? Yup. It's
Elias Two Fexes. That's how you say the name, but you knew that already. All the fans who joined in on Twitter here today and watched on the dedicated YouTube channel. It was a fantastic time. What a great guy and some tremendous stories. So make sure you download the podcast on iTunes. Just a great way to have a Wednesday. Now, tomorrow, we continue with Hollywood. Now, do you know George Shortoff? George is on Designated Survivor and was...
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, he's in Goon.
And was in Goon.
Yeah, we worked on Lost Girl together.
He was
He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
So Hollywood
Yeah.
continues tomorrow on the Elias Two Fexes Hollywood Week. Have yourself a great day. Thanks for watching.